things. Okay, so Apostle Moyan is just coming on, and as it comes on, I want you to get ready as we have an in-depth discussion this evening. This year, by the grace of God, you and I, we are going to bring out all the giftings and the blessings that the Lord Almighty has blessed us with. Inside of you resides great and mighty, mighty blessings. It's amazing the things that you possess that you have not started to use yet. It's amazing the blessings that you carry that you have not even started tapping into yet. And so seasons is going to be around about that this year. We're going to be talking a lot about fulfilling purpose within the season that God has brought us into. So I want you to really get ready this year. We're going to challenge ourselves. We are going to provoke ourselves. We are going to encourage ourselves in the fullness of what God has blessed us with. And that is part of the things that we are going to make happen this year. Okay, so I believe that Apostle Moyan is trying to get on. Part of what we are going to believe God for this year, we are going to have great network in Nigeria. How many people are going to say, hey, say, yeah, let's make that happen? We're going to have great network. We are going to make it happen somehow. You and I, we are going to roll up our sleeves and see how we can solve that great, gigantic problem. And let's try and see if we can make it happen. All right, I think Tolu is having an issue with his connection. Okay, so we're waiting for him to get up. The initial part of what we want to discuss this evening is about introspection into 2020. All of us have different ways and interpretation of how 2020 panned out for us, what happened in the year, how we entered into the year with a lot of visions, aspirations, and things that we had planned to achieve. And along the way, the COVID situation arose, and that sort of like redefined a lot of things for a lot of us. And part of the things I wanted to discuss this evening is what lessons did you learn last year, and how applicable are those lessons into 2021? The things that you picked up last year, the things that you learned last year, the things that you did not prepare for, but yet you found yourself inside of those things. And then all of a sudden you realize that you had a great ability to adapt, adaptability. I'm sure that you look back now, I'm sure it will amaze you how much you've been able to adapt in that previous year. All right, do we have Tolu now? Okay. All right, we're going to have to write to your network providers, and we're going to write to them, and we're going to protest. Can you hear me? All right, it's still buffering. Yeah. So how I'm sure you and I learned our ability to adapt to a lot of things last year. It will amaze you. I'm sure it has amazed you how much you were able to cope within the peculiarity of how the months in, month out, how things just happen. But yet you found yourself that you were able to cope with what was happening. And that is a major lesson. It's a major lesson to let you know that no matter what is thrown at you, what is thrown at me, is amazing our capacity and our ability to adapt to things that we did not even envisage or plan for. And that is one of the major things that we picked up last year, our ability to adapt. We adapted to how circumstances changed before our very eyes. We find ourselves being locked down. We are not used to that. We are social beings. We like to integrate. We like to interact. So we found ourselves in situations where we were just locked in. We couldn't go out as much as we wanted to in some part of the nations of the world, perhaps in the UK here and several parts of the world. And so we adapted to that. Week in, week out, we're able to cope. And the other thing is realization. So adaptability, then realization. What do I mean by realization? I'm sure every human that thinks with the faculties of thinking came out of last year realizing that, you know what, there's something about money management. There's something about money, having it for rainy day, having it for perhaps challenging times, having it for when it will be needed and needful. And so realization, we realize that, you know what, perhaps the regular stream of income that we had was put to test last year. The regular stream of income we had was put to test because we found out that even though we were locked in, and the kind of income perhaps that we had before that was coming in, such income was not coming in again. So that was a huge realization that, you know what, the stream that I'm used to, the stream that I've always had, will that suffice for any eventualities? Some years ago, I think I attended a seminar, perhaps it was online, many years ago. And then the discourse went to, all right, the discourse went into the fact that a measuring stick for well-being is your ability to be able to plan yourself so that if there be any eventualities, you will be able to cope and adapt and be able to take care of your needs for several months. You know, so last year again, that became a wake-up call for all of us because we found ourselves in a situation where there was a realization that wow, there's something about resources. It's not about spirituality. We need to have means that we can take care of our well-being. All right. Yes, I feel we have Apostle. Yeah, we have Apostle here now. Let's clap for him. He's been able to win the battle with his network providers. All right. Are you good? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon, PC. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, Apostle. How are you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm very well.
Sir. How are you?
You and your family?
Very excellent, sir. Great to see you.
Over here as well. Let me see. My volume is good here. I can hear you. Yes, we've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for the main man. I've been telling the folks that we just wanted to have, as usual, our fireworks discussion with Apostle Moyan, our in-depth discussion, our intellectual discussion, and that he's in the driving seat. So I was trying to do some stuff for you. Okay, all right. So yeah.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, sir.
Someone is saying
hello to Tolu there. Okay, that person you want to say hello to me now. All right, the person has said hello to me. Okay, you all welcome our friends, our family. Try and get your friends in and get involved. Let's talk, let's discuss. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you so much for having me as always, sir. Always.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to have you. We appreciate you. We thank God for His grace upon you. So it's a joy to have this time with you. Always. And this year we're going to do it more often. We're going to do it more often. We're going to drive a lot of traffic of intellectuals to our discourse. Let's open up the mind of people, and let's trust for a mighty year. So over to you, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're talking earlier, and and I've heard all the things you've said about 2020. What kind of year it was. Nobody saw it coming. A lot of blind spots. A lot of shock. A lot of surprises. And everything. The church, the family, the economy, nations. Pretty much everywhere. I was saying in one of our previous sessions that nothing will be the same again. Yeah. Education will never be the same again. The family, the nations, business.
Yep.
The pandemic had a lot of effects on also. I mean, today. So basically, in the maybe 40 minutes that we have left, I just want us to walk through what the experience was like. Basically, just share your experience with us and your insights as to how the pandemic affected you as a person, as a father, husband, also as a pastor, a shepherd, you know, of a fast-growing church in the UK. The economy, you know, also in UK. I mean, I'll share a bit about, you know, Nigeria. We know Nigeria fell into another recession, you know, end of last year. So I just want to hear your insight and your experience. And basically, so I mean, I'll take it from this perspective. The fact that, you know, most people by 30th or 31st of December 2019, they're waiting for direction. Okay, they want to know what's going to happen in the new year. So you see that people that have not been to church from January 1st to January 31st, on January 30th, on the 31st, they find themselves inside, you know, a building because they want direction. Okay, so I'm taking this from January 31st, 2019. At that point, you know, where everybody, you know, is waiting for direction from, you know, our leaders, spiritual leaders mostly, and we got a lot of direction. So how did this impact you as a leader, as a mentor, as a pastor, as a father, as, you know, as a husband, as a shepherd, when by February, it looked as if everything we predicted on the 31st of December basically went to hell? You know, pardon my friend, but that's what it looks like. And by March, April, everything shut. You know, how does this affect you and what is the insight that you have? I'll say that because fast forward to December 31st, 2020, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Same thing has happened. But a lot of things have changed. So people have gone from looking for direction, you know, waiting for direction, to basically give you. So a lot of things have changed. So let's start with that. Then, you know, we'll just take it further. I hope that you understand, you know, my question.
Yeah. Yes. And if I say I do, perhaps as I go along, if there's anything that I missed out or anything that you still want me to highlight, then obviously you can pull the brakes. Thank you so much again. Happy New Year to our friends and family. Thank you for joining us. Reach out to your friends and let them come and join us as we begin this discourse with the one and only Apostle Tolu Moyan. And is this going to be the first of many series? You'll join us again next Tuesday and the week after and the week after. And then we will build up and then we will share with you what we're going to be doing. All right, sir. You are so right. As usual, everybody got into church on the 31st. And like you said, rightly, seeking for direction. How is the year going to go? And so everybody received from the different sources that they will usually receive from. I can speak for us. I can speak for perhaps what I do, what I represent, and the people that I serve. I'm opportunity to serve. When we entered into the new year 2020, the word that the Lord gave us was that it was going to be a year of new dimensions. And so for me, and for us, all through the year 2020, for us, we believed that rightly so and blessed so, that God spoke to us in a very unique way. Because essentially what happened last year was new. We saw things that we have not seen before. So really and truly was a year of new dimensions for us. So they're now walking that through the different things that have happened as we entered into the year. For me also, we by the time that the pandemic started to kick in around about March, and then we started to experience lockdown and different things started to happen, several things happened. Obviously, we couldn't have regular church in terms of church for ministry. And so we had to do online services and all that. For us, it wasn't like for too much of a shock in that regard, because we had a good multimedia system in place that was able to handle that. And so again, in the light of the things that we're going to be discussing, you can say it's a vague, it can be a vague response or one of the vague things that we picked up, or how do we explain it in the light that preparing for eventualities. There's several things that you may think that you prepared for, may not be the way that it will pan out. There are several things that you plan for, it may happen that way. So yes, in terms of having physical church for us, we're able to cope with having online services, and that's what we've been having, even since March till now. And then the other bit was how different people took it, how different people took what was happening. Obviously, our response systems are different. The way we cope are different. And so being able to balance that and encourage everybody that, you know what, this is just a season. It's a peculiar time. We need to be strong and we need to weather the storm. But most essentially, what is happening? What is going on? What is God saying to all of us? What is God sharing with us? Just like you said, many people predictions seemingly went south and all that. But I didn't even really, I wasn't really too bothered about that. Because for me, I just continued to go back to scriptures. I continued to go back to what God told us, that it was going to be new dimensions. To me, that was what we were seeing. So now interpreting that and walking through that was what was work all through the year. And so a lot of things was we learned. Coping with that, spending a lot of time with family, realizing that it's so important, the blessedness of family. It's so important, the blessedness of time. And it's so important, planning and working on oneself, developing oneself, ability to cope and adapt, and all of that. So the lessons were just a lot. Tolu, the lessons were so much. Ranging, like you said, from finances. Finances was hit big time. From home, individuals to government, finances have been hit all over the world. So again, it bottles down to how to adapt, how to cope, how to respond. And so maybe I'll keep it there for now.
Okay. All right. So the next thing I'd like to do is just place December 31st, 2019 and December 31st, 2020 side by side. How did it affect you as a leader, especially a spiritual leader? So in 2019 you saw new dimension.
Yeah.
And obviously, you said a lot of things changed, a lot of things were disrupted.
Yeah.
And it was easy for you to grasp and sort of happen and what you're seeing. But not quite the same for everybody else. Interesting, because my local church, Lagos, where I attend, the theme for the year was also new beginnings.
Wow.
A line between what you were saying and what I was for 2020. Because obviously what happens when there's a disruption, when there's a pandemic is like almost like, I can almost feel like an egg. Okay? Like they say, what creates a chick?
Okay. I think we're still having a bit of issues with your network. He's kind of there. He's breaking in between somehow.
Okay, let me just take the last sentence. So when we say new beginnings, like we had in our church, when you say new dimensions, the same thing. So that crack. Pretty much like what happened yesterday. Pandemic just cracked a lot of things. What happens naturally? The new beginning, the newness. When there's a breaking, there's a newness. So really, in the real sense of it, what you saw is valid, except that you didn't see it from a place of pressure.
Yeah.
You probably didn't think that it would come as a breaking. A lot of times when God says, when they say, "Oh, God says, I'll bless you," and you're looking out for a blessing, or God is trying to teach you maybe patience.
Yeah.
And they're looking out, and then you're just driving and somebody comes and cuts you off. That's the text. I don't know if it makes sense to you. So I'm just going to put that right there. December 31st, 2019. for you?
Mm.
And I ask this question because, sorry, sir. So I ask this question because people are watching and thinking, okay, so it's a new year now. We've heard other things. We've heard more things. We've heard, how do we start to, how do we put side by side the reality, and I say reality in quotes, with what we have heard. So for you.
Yeah.
Maybe
we're still having a bit of connection issues. Wow.
So maybe not quite the same. The relationship between a breaking and a newness. So how do you put that side by side? What changed for you, and how do we begin to marry reality with things we have heard when they don't quite look alike? So new dimensions. I'm expecting a new job, a new car, new. When I heard you mention new dimensions, I'm thinking, oh, by December 31st, 2020, maybe I'll be a billionaire. But not quite.
Yeah.
The reality was not. So how do we start?
I believe it. Yes, I believe it has a lot to do with continuous communication. I think continuous communication is so important. For us, like we said, it was new dimensions, and the word that God gave us was really apt and really strong, because when we apply that word to all the things that we saw and happened, we could really make a lot of sense with what was going on with the word that we received. The word we received was from Exodus 6:3. God saying to Moses that the way that I worked with Abraham, Isaac, and Israel was different. That was a different era. And God now said, like, there are things in me, there are things that you do not know yet, that I'm about to start showing, I'm about to start revealing. And so for us, that text was really strong. It helped us in being able to run with all the things that we had to confront, that, okay, we're seeing new things. We're seeing new sides. We're seeing new things being shown, new things being revealed. So that helped a lot. Even though I hear what you say, that the reality of what may have been heard gains to what facing the practicality of what was facing us to what we believed that we were holding on to, And we're coming back to this year. What we received was that is a year of faith. Faith was what we received. Hebrews 11:6, the Bible says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. And those that must believe that He is, and is a reward of them that seek Him. So that word strong in that which was given to us. And then that there's going to be great restoration. Now, we can't enter into serious restoration. We have lost stuff. Many things have happened without the premise outside of the premise of faith. So faith is integral, is important to everything that we are believing that God is going to do for us this year. So then how do we now walk, just like you've asked, at the practicality of the things that we may face and have to deal with? Now for us, that word is going to be like a shield, going to be like a catalyst, catapult us, and different ways you can look at it. Because faith is applicable to everything. Even people that don't profess that they know God, they have a measure of risk-taking, to take risks, believe that what they are doing, what they are investing is going to bring forth a return and all of that. So that is what we want to run. We want to run with that, communicate a lot, teach ourselves a lot about the practicality of trusting God, believing God. So whether things pan out the way that you were expecting or not, you need a measure of faith to still be able to hold on to God, that this is still going to happen. That is still going to manifest. So that is what we are running with this year. And we want to run with it on the premise of, like I said, really educating ourselves a lot, communicating a lot, and then broadening our horizon to be able to understand, as there are measures of faith, dimensions of faith, we bring all those things to everything that we do, whether in the marketplace, whether at home, war front, battlefront, anywhere, faith is relevant. Faith is necessary for everything that makes for livelihood, makes for destiny, for purpose. And we want to break all that down as we go on in the weeks and really strengthen ourselves in that regard. You know.
Well, okay. I mean, that's interesting. So, again, I'd like to, as usual, try and explain what you just said. So you're saying that sometimes what we hear and what we see do not look the same.
Yeah.
The language, if you like, that will help us interpret is the language of faith.
Yeah.
So I can draw examples. So a virgin will have a child. I don't know a man.
Yeah.
I've never known a man. So reality and the things they're hearing, it's not the same. What must then help you draw what will be the bridge between what you hear and what is reality, or what will happen is your faith. I believe that's what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
So that helps me. That helps me a lot, because it's going to take me to the next question, which is also slightly controversial, but I'll just touch on it very briefly before we move on to the next thing. And it's the issue of politics. So a lot of times, you know, we have expectations, we have prophecies, we have predictions of things that will happen on a political scale. I mean, I give a simple example. Nigeria, we believe we have, you know, Christian vice president, we expect things will go a certain way. In America, you know, there's a lot of prophecies, a lot of predictions that, you know, Donald Trump, you know, the savior in quotes, you know, and things will happen a certain way. During the end of the tenure, a lot of predictions, again, a lot of prophecies that said, oh, you know, it's going to have a second term. Again, how do we marry these two things? So understand faith.
Yeah.
But again, so I understand faith in terms of as a person, when I hear something and I see something else, I use the eyes of faith to look at it. You know, I mean, again, Elisha and his servants, battle is about to happen. He says, sir, what's going on? People are coming on. They're going to kill us. You can't stand further than this. He had to say, God, please open his eyes. Let this guy see what I'm saying and stop disturbing me. You know, so eyes of faith. Right. In terms of the prophetic and prediction, it's a bit more challenging. Because if somebody comes and says, oh, this will happen. Someone has come to foretell something that this is expected to happen. And it does not happen. You know, this is now different from, it's a bit different from, you know, a proclamation and reality. This is actually a prophecy. This man will do this, or this will happen. And the opposite happens. How does a Christian begin to grasp this concept? How does it not shake us to the core of our Christianity, especially after a year of not going to church, of not hearing, you know, the word that we used to, of not, you know, someone said, oh, so all our village people that were praying against in church, well, did they also take a break? You know, so how come we're not okay without, you know, going to church? So how do we start to marry these things? I'll just touch on this briefly, then we'll move to the next thing.
Okay. Very, very good question, as usual, Apostle. And in the blessed way in which the Spirit works with me, as you were speaking, I had examples that I'm going to use to answer, you know, the very deep questions you've asked. You know, Apostle, every time that the prophecy comes, and if it's genuinely from God, and that this is going to happen, and that is going to happen, one thing that you and I agree on is that within that prophecy, it takes for individuals. The prophecy is not empty. The prophecy is not just void. It lights upon and the word was spoken unto Jacob and lighted upon Israel. The word of the prophecy is ever for people, unto people, the manifestations of it and all of that. Oh, this is going to happen, like you said. Oh, this person is going to be used of God. The prophecy came and all that. There was nothing wrong with the prophecies. In the actualization of prophecies, where prophecies come, one thing also that we all agree on is that it takes for individuals to manifest what God has spoken. So it's not that God hasn't spoken. God said to David, you are going to pursue. You will overtake. Without fail, you will recover all. That was all that God said. Now it was unto David to get up and then to begin to go. Everything that had to make for how he encouraged those guys to go with him, how he spoke to them, how he encouraged them, how he fortified them, you know, that was unto David. So if David had gone forth and started insulting those guys, you guys are just useless. You are just, you know, you are of no good. And all that. That has got nothing to do with prophecy. The prophecy is still there. You will pursue, you will overtake, you will recover all. You know, so as they were going as well, the Bible said they got to the brook. We saw some were tired. You know, did he insult them? Did he speak down on them? You know, the prophecy was still there. As they were going, they saw an Egyptian boy that was left for dead. David said they should give him food. He didn't say they should rubbish him and say, get out of here, who are you? And all that. No, they fed that guy, you know, so that like they gave him strength. They told him that, you know what, we're going to take care of you. And he was now the one that took them to the place where the manifestation of the prophecy happened. So there is never, God is never wrong with what it says genuinely to the ears of the understanding. It's not how we work into the goodness of what God has said, how we manage ourselves in the journey into the manifestation of the prophecy, what we do, how we do what we do, how we carry the instruction, and all of that. You know, so it's unto us, apostle. God told Abraham that he was going to sacrifice his son. He responded. He moved. He comported himself. He did all that he was told to do towards the manifestation. And God brought it all to pass. So it's never about, oh, did they see right? Did they see right? And all of that. It's about the people that are within the prophecy, how you manifest it. If God says now that you are going to be a great nation, and then you follow yourself, you derail yourself, you go and live a riotous life, you go and start to live among swines. The prophet, there's nothing wrong with the prophecy. The people that are within the prophecy is where the issues are. So yes, it's here where everybody's now, oh, what happened to all the prophets? What happened to all the prophecies and all that? It's interesting when I read those comments. But you know what? I am ever so assured in my spirit. There was nothing wrong with the prophecy. There was, if it's really from God, there's ever nothing wrong with what God says. It is about the people that will manifest it and will bring it to God. We are the ones that must hear twice. So with the ones into the manifestation, what I do into the manifestation, how I prepare myself into what God has said. Oh, Chris, you are going to be a great nation. You are going to be a prosperous land. And then, what kind of life am I living? How am I carrying myself? The vessel for the prophecy, and how all the things that I need to do for the manifestation of that prophecy is unto me. Beloved, unto me. Check all the prophecies that is of God that we know of. Even the several people in the scriptures that made mistakes, we knew that they made. It was obvious that they made mistakes. It was obvious that they are the ones that swayed away from what God said was going to happen. So more than ever before, we should have our head raised up that, there's nothing wrong with our God. There will always be things wrong with the people that are within the manifestations of the prophecies.
Fantastic. So I'm hearing you. I'm hearing something. I'm hearing what you're saying. I'm hearing two things. I'll try and explain to you and think that's what you're saying. So I'm hearing you say that the word of God is a verb.
Come on.
But there is a doing that is required from it.
Yep.
So the verb is an action word. So the word has come. So there's an action that's supposed to go with the word to make sure that you're doing.
That's correct.
The manifestation of the word.
That's correct.
I'm hearing you say that.
That's correct.
I'm also hearing you say that for every word, there's a word in season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a spoken word. Then there's a proceeding word.
Yeah.
Which is why Scripture says, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but shall live by every word that proceeds." So there's a proceeding word. So I like the example you used, Abraham. So as far as Abraham said, go and kill your child. Right? And sacrifice your son. At that point, that was the word. But at some point, the word changed. There was a proceeding. No. I just wanted to test you. Now, put the lad aside. I have made provision. And if you remember, what is interesting about this is when the lad asked him, when Isaac asked him, "Sir, the fire, we have all the elements except for the sacrifice,
the wood, yeah.
except for the lamb." He said that God will provide.
Which is what I was saying to you earlier on, Apostle. That is the faith, isn't it? That is the faith, beloved. Abraham said, God will provide. Not God may.
Yes.
Not God may. He said, God will provide. That is
so he was saying, yes, so like you said, he was looking with the eyes of faith.
That's right.
He had heard the word that, okay, so as far as the word was concerned, the sacrifice had been provided, which was done.
Yeah.
But he had to keep listening. So sometimes when God speaks, it's not for all seasons. It's for a season. You have to stay updated. It's almost like your app updates. There's some things that you'll never be able to use on your phone if you don't update your app. So if you're working with the old app, there's some some benefits or some features of your app that you never have access to because they're not updated. It's similar. Sometimes you speak, so God has given you the app. But because your app is not updated, you're not familiar or you don't have access to the updated features and benefits and advantages of that app. So those are the things I'm hearing. First thing I'm hearing, like I said, is that when God speaks, there's a place for God to speak. There's a place of the doing. So between the time of speaking and the time of manifestation, there's a place for doing.
That's right.
Right? And that is for us.
In fact, Apostle, may I dare ask that there is, let me try and put it this way. And for our friends and family that are watching, there has never been a cheap prophecy from God. Every prophecy, every dictate from God, everything that God said is going to happen, there was none of them that just, boom, something had to happen. Even the ones that God just did it by himself, you would notice that it requires work. It requires action. It requires you to do something. It requires something. Mary had to carry Jesus for 9 months. Every woman that has carried a baby would know that it is not beans. It is work. The time that the back is paining and this will be happening. So there's no cheap prophecy. There's work to be done. Work to be done. But to tell Ezekiel that I'm not asking you if this gold believe. I'm asking you to say something. I'm asking you to speak. So we need to understand like never before, Apostle. And you and I, we've been talking about that a lot. And this year, we really need to just amplify it and take it to another dimension. That every, and it seems to be just coming to me from every direction these days. And I have some people that I know that I'm praying for that are just, that just post stuff in that regard, perhaps to get my attention. That we are the nation of our nativity is a mega praying nation. We pray 24 hours of the day. And yet we're the chief capital of poverty in the whole of the world. There's something wrong. We are praying, but we are not working the work. We are not working the work. We should be in the forefront of the ones that are working the work. And then let the favor that God has spoken, let it marry with the work that we do. And then we will be in forefront and will be able to tell people that, hey, there's a place for work, but we are also working, and then we are enjoying divine favor that we know God.
So what I'm hearing you say, so that's this thing you're saying is so important. It's so important, and that might be where we'll end it today. But it's more that I will get this out. So what I'm hearing you say is, so I mean, I hear it all the time. I mean, even this weekend, I heard people saying, oh, you know, so you know Jeff Bezos, you know, so Jeff Bezos was the richest man, just got overtaken by, you know,
my guy, Elon Musk.
You know, this just happened over, you know, over the past few days, and everybody's saying, and then, you know, the world just went in a riot again. You see, is these unbelievers, people that are atheists, that don't know God, that are doing these things, you know, and you look at the top 10, there are people that know God and things like that, and you know, and I do this with my friends all the time, and it's really sad and really painful to think, like you said, that there is a set of people that are doing all the prayer, you know. Yeah, thanks, Elon Musk, Nikolai, thanks. You know, instead of people that are doing all the praying, all the kabashing, all the fasting, all the right, and instead of people that are making the money, and there's a clear gap. So it's almost as if you're a Christian, you know, it's either you're a Christian or you are a non-believer, you're making money, you know. And people ask the question, why are Christians not in the top 10 list? And I guess
Our network issues again. Okay. All right, I think he's back. Okay. All right, I think you're back now. We lost you for some few seconds.
and I dare say that the problem.
Okay, we can hear you now. Not too clear,
Okay.
but we can
The
hear
problem. Okay, the problem many times is our faith without works. So we have a lot of faith, a lot of praying. You know, there's no works.
Exactly.
And I say that if only that when you pray as a Christian, you actually listen. You make your prayer a conversation, make it a dialogue. God will come to you things that the people that are unbelievers have not seen. I think that's the problem with Christians. Many times we're not listening. You know, because I mean, I tell my friends and my colleagues, even some of my clients, I understand this thing all the time. A lot of times when I go for meetings, you know, as a brand strategy, when I'm going for a meeting, I kabash on my way there. I speak in tongues because I tell God that, you know, I want to know things. So I'll give you a simple example. Daniel and the king. So the king had a dream. When he has the dream, he has his interpreters. But on this particular day, sharing this with my brothers this morning, on this particular day, the dream was taken from him. So it was more than just interpretation now. Now is that you have to understand, you have to know the dream, then know the interpretation. So it happened that now an advanced problem that required an advanced solution.
That's right.
And that was the dream of Daniel. So in our world, we must understand. So I was telling my brothers that 2021 is the year of the Daniels. That the world is people. They're not just problem solvers. They're problem discoverers. So you will do more than just, you must know the problem. Because there are times where there are nations in the world, there are businesses in the world that have problems, so they don't know what the problem is. So you will now first diagnose the problem. You go and tell them, you know, this is the problem that you have.
Tell them what the problem is.
And then give them a solution. Because most people go to business school because they're designed to solve problems. You know, this problem you have, you know, you solve it. But God is creating a Daniel generation, people that will go beyond just solving problems, but to diagnose problems, telling people the problem that they don't know that they have. So the king said, you know, that I don't know this dream. So your head will be on a stake by tonight if you don't get me someone that will tell me my dream and tell me the interpretation. So the problem the problem I have most times, I think we separate the two. We say, well, you know, there's as a Christian, I'm a Christian, then I'm a businessman. You know, I'm a Christian, then I'm a career woman. You know, I'm a Christian, this. You know, we don't realize that it is one thing.
Yes. So you can't separate yourself from your faith. You know,
absolutely.
your faith is you, and you are inside of your faith. The way that I see it, Tolu, is that, you know, look at what you are describing that Daniel did. Daniel was so sure of his God. Daniel was so sure that, you know what, give us a bit of time. We are going to come back and we're going to give you the solution. And then the other thing that I see there is that you see the work ethics of Daniel. That Daniel went ahead and then he communed with his friend and they got to work. This thing is not a drop from heaven. You know, we are going to do it, we are going to work it. Then the scripture mentions the nighttime the vision was revealed. Now that tells me, it tells me about time. It tells me about work in time. That work must have been done. And then at some point, the revelation of what they were asking God for. You know, so just like you're saying, the Daniel generation are the ones that will be able to know what the problem is and then be able to offer a solution. But before you even know what the problem is, you know, your work ethics, your inquisition, all the things that Daniel did, he inquired, he found out, he plugged himself there. He said, we have a solution. Give us time. Just, you know, just present me. You know, that ability to, you know, he said, present me to the king. I just want an audience with him, and then we will offer the solution. So we are not just going to begin and we come out. No, we are knocking on doors and companies and we're giving them proposals that, you know what, we can effect a change. We can offer you a solution. These are the things that we're talking about. We are not just going to go to night vigil and then we are waiting for good news. It's going to locate you today in the name of Jesus. And then you see, we are waiting for the good news. And then we are praying on that. Bring your phone out and pray that in the name of Jesus, good news will locate you. No. From that same phone, you will load it with credit. And you are using it to make calls. Make calls.
Yes, sir.
Offer yourself. Knock on doors. Let me give you this proposal. We are going to give you an incentive. We're going to do a portion of it free and things like that. So the Daniel generation is the generation of them that are tenacious, you know, them that are so determined, resolute, you know, to say this thing is going to happen. Is not going to be in the way that it has been said. It's the different way that it's going to happen. That is the Daniel generation. The tenacious, the ones that are different to the lot. Those are the ones we're talking about.
Done. Wow, thank you so much for that piece. And as you're talking, I just remember something someone said about, you know, the person of Jesus and the principles of Jesus. So the principles that are put in place.
Yeah.
Law of sowing and reaping. It says that a man diligent in what he does. Stand before kings. The law of diligence has to do with if a Christian, Muslim, atheist, whatever. You know, if you're diligent, you see the results. I mean, Mr. Dangote is seeing results. Diligent man. You know, Elon Musk, man, he just overtook, you know, the richest man in the world. So there's the principles, but there's the
work ethics of 120 hours a week. The guy put to work 120 hours. I mean, I read that and I'm like, okay, now 120 hours a week on an average. That is regular pattern every week. You know.
So could it be that this message of, you know, God will bless you, God will profit you, receive your miracle, has now made us lazy as Christians? It's a hard thing to say.
Oh yeah.
It's a hard, you know, it now made us lazy. So in my mind, as we're talking, in my mind, I'm thinking that let your work, let your professionalism, let your excellence, let your research, let it be as strong as your prayer, and see if you won't overtake everybody in your industry. So what has happened to most people? They either want to go the way of, you know, let's just hustle, let me hustle, you know, and live Bible and live, or, you know, let me pray and expect a miracle. So pray as if that's the only thing you have. Then work as if that's the only thing you have. I believe that these two things is what we need to understand as Christians and start to apply it. So you work hard. You work harder than everybody in your industry. Then you pray harder than everybody in your industry. I believe that these two combinations is what is what is required in this season.
Tolu, as we close, let's look at the example of those guys in Acts and chapter 1. Just as you're speaking, that's what's coming to mind. Jesus told those guys that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but they should wait until the promise comes. Yeah? Now, somebody else has interpreted what Jesus told them from that Acts 1 from verse 8. He said they should wait until the promise comes. Isn't it? So they could have just been sitting down there waiting. And be saying, guys, so what is it there for dinner today? We are still waiting for the Holy Spirit to come. No. The next thing that happened was that those guys got to work. They got to work. They got to work. And that is where we miss the real essence of prayer. Okay? Prayer is asking God to help you as you walk into the manifestation of your expectation. Prayer is not you just praying and living out the work that is necessary towards the manifestation. Do you understand? We get that wrong. When you are praying, you are asking God, really and truly. Our prayer is communing with God and relationship with God. All right? We commune with God and we have a relationship with God. It doesn't take us out of the essentials of what we need to do to bring forth the manifestation of what must happen. Jesus has not come to destroy the law, but has come to fulfill it. God categorically, from the beginning, out of the ground you will walk before you eat. That was what God told you. That hasn't changed. Jesus didn't say that that's not going to happen anymore. Grace has covered that, and so you don't need to walk again. God said from the beginning, out of the ground you will walk. Deuteronomy 8:12, I've said to my people, we are going to chew that text this year. What God said there was that He will bless the works of their hand. He's not going to bless you. Oh, God bless you. What He said is, I will bless the work of your hand. This book of the Lord will not depart from your mouth. He says, you will meditate upon it day and night. You will walk. He says, then will make your way prosperous. You will make your way prosperous. I haven't spent time working on it, meditating, using that as an example. And then you will now walk that into the manifestation of God. So prayer is just a part of our lifestyle. It's our relationship with our Maker. Prayer is that we spend in gratitude and thanksgiving. Prayer doesn't take away the work we need to do. No. Prayer doesn't take away the effort we need to make. Prayer doesn't take away the midnight oil we need to burn. Prayer doesn't take away, the proposal that you need to write, the effort you need to make, the companies you need to knock on their door, the places that you've been told no, and but I prayed. It doesn't take away all that. Elijah prayed, crying out loud, Christians. 7 times. The same person on fire. He was still holding on. He was still walking. He was still trusting that this is going to happen. Okay, this is not happening. No. It is a continuum. It is a continuum. We need to continue to work, and that's what we want to encourage ourselves this year. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to provoke ourselves that, like you said, Apostle, a new generation, a new breed of Daniels are rising. Hard-working guy. That will say, this is it. We are tenacious. We are determined. We want to make a difference. We want to go all the way and show the way. That is the new breed. The ones that will say, you know what, we are, Christians in the marketplace that knows their onions. That is what we want to do. We want to show people that we are wealthy, but yet we are controlled. We are wealthy, but yet, we are cultured. We are wealthy, but yet we are disciplined. That is what we showed this year.
We're wealthy and we're spiritual.
Yes.
It's not either or.
Yeah. That's what we want to make happen this year.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with all the blessings. We are loaded with them. But like Paul said, there's work to be done. He says,
absolutely,
I've received of the Lord. Didn't Paul tell us rather that I'm filled with grace. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Paul told us all that. He told us that I've become who I've become by the grace of God. He said, Paul now says something, but he said, but yet not I, but it is the grace of God. Then the bit that we do not read well, we just read the part that we love, and then it becomes us, and then we quote it. Can we go back and read what Paul said? Paul said, I labor more than they all. So we are saying that Paul just came out of nowhere and you wrote 2/3 of the scriptures. What was it about you? No. Paul says, I labor more than they all. That tells us that he worked. So it wasn't just that he was a new kid on the block and that God just graced him. No. The guy said, I labored, I worked, I labored for this more than they. He wrote it. And that's what we are looking forward to this year, Apostle. A new breed. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to hit the marketplace like they've never been hit before. All the grace that we carry, all the capacities, all the abilities, we want to challenge the youth. All the vigils that we have had, everyone is loaded with our request.
Yes, absolutely.
That the world is waiting. Waiting for our manifestation. Because we have prayed, we have received grace, we have received favor, we have kabash, we have done all that. Now the world is waiting for manifestations. For us to manifest, to show them excellence, to show them how it's supposed to be done. That is not to rise up to do this year. Make a difference.
I totally agree with that. As a matter of fact, I just remembered the word that I heard this year. It's very simple. I heard very clearly that this year is the year of the doer. It's the year of execution. It's the year of the doer. You've said enough, you've prayed, you've preached, you've done, but this is the year of the doer. And as you start to do, then you start to find divine assistance. You start to find angelic assistance.
Yes.
And let me just, try and wrap up what you've said today. And let's try and wrap up in 1 minute, because I see our time is almost out. So the first thing you said was, regardless of what we hear and what we see, we must continue to see with the eyes of faith.
Yep.
That's my first thing. Continue to see with the eyes of faith. When reality does not seem to match up or sync or align with what we have heard, continue to see with the eyes of faith. The other thing we've said is you always be aware of proceeding word.
Yeah.
Of the updated word. Always update your prayer app in a sense, or the word, almost always what God is saying for now. Not what he said yesterday or the day before or even 2 hours ago. What God's saying now. The third thing I'm hearing you say is that, in addition to your faith, where is your action? Where is your works? So it's not enough to pray or fast or believe or, to wait for things. But it's time to, I wrote something here. I didn't want to forget, so I wrote it in the comments, that the intensity of prayer and the tenacity of the hard work. So 2 words, intensity and tenacity. So intensity of the prayer, like the Bible says, the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous makes power available. Now, infuse that power into hard work, and then you will see divine direction.
That's right. And
divine takes you, accelerates you. So things people have struggled for 2 years, 20 years, you see, you're doing it in 1 month. You're doing it in 1 week. So that's what I'm able to take away. Just as I'm rounding up from me, sir, before you speak, the word to us in closing. Yeah, last year, 2020, as crazy as it was the year I registered the most businesses. In the midst of business and the pandemic and the economic downturn, I was registering businesses because I realized that this is a breaking, and this breaking is going to create access. So I registered all those businesses. And 2021, like a year of the doer, is the year that I want to do, start to do these things. But it comes from a place of, direction. So that's it for me this year. So I don't know what your closing word is to us. Maybe you have a word, a proclamation, in closing, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Apostle. We build on this next week for our friends and family. And thank you, as always, the way you summarize what we have discussed. I just want to end on this, the year of the doers, the year of faith, year of surplus restorations. In Jonah and chapter 1, we read about Jonah and that God told him to go to a particular city. He decided to go somewhere. And then we know what happened to him. He went into great challenge, was thrown out of the boat that he was. And then the whole of chapter 2 shows us a man that was really broken. He was broken. He went to God for forgiveness. He pleaded to God for forgiveness. And God had him. The will seemingly committed him back onto the coast, isn't it? Jonah chapter 3. You would notice, Apostle, that God did not just rub him on the head and God tell him that, you know what, I've granted you the mercy that you seek. You will notice that God did not compromise on Jonah still going to Nineveh. Or still go to that Nineveh. Then the mystery of that chapter 3 is that in the 3rd verse, the Bible says Jonah began to enter into Nineveh a day's journey. He began to enter a journey that was meant to take 3 days, Apostle. He began to enter in just 1 day, which tells you that when you weather the storm and you do your work and you do what is needful to be done, that is when God now speak to that guy. Speak. The work that was meant to take 3 days took him 1 day. Elijah outran the chariots of Ahab. How can a human being outrun horses? He did not outrun when it was now, rain had started to come, and then it was on Mount Carmel, and now rejoicing. Rain has finally come. No. He began to run. I mean, he did not foresee that he would outrun chariots. Supernatural wind just started to take him, and all of a sudden he outran the horses. So when
he started running, he had started running, but he had started running before there was a angelic assistance.
He had started running. It was when he was running that all of a sudden, he just noticed that something was happening. So we must still do the work. John 6, Jesus knew what he would do, but he still stood there and waited for them to go and find the little 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Heaven could have supplied the needs of all those people.
Absolutely.
But they still had to. He waited. They said nothing can happen. It's too late. He waited until they brought what they brought. And the moment they brought it, he now lifted it to God and said, Lord, we present this to you for you to work with. Something was presented before the supernatural happened. He presented the little, and then the supernatural took over. So this year we must present something to God.
Work with. Yes. I wanted to hit on that. You have to give God something to work with.
We have to present something. We have to present something. These unbelievers are presenting something. Say what you like. They are presenting something. They are taking risks. They are presenting something. They are, they are presenting what they have, what they know, albeit naive, albeit not your faith, albeit not your scriptures, but they are presenting something in the confines of the earth that the Lord has made. And as long as the earth remaineth, what God said is that seed time and harvest. So the more they continue to walk within the premise of those principles, they are enjoying blessings. Harvest. They are just enjoying it. They are just having fun, enjoying the other in the things that God has said. And what God has said is still what is making the, maybe we'll go into that next week. What God has said is still what is making the world to run, Apostle. God has said why we are alive. That's, I said, let there be light. Light is still there. Since the time that God said it, is still there. So the same God has said, as long as the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest will not cease. Anybody that seed will enjoy harvest, whether you be a believer or not. And let somebody say that's controversy. God said it. And the time that God said that, God did not say it is for people that come from Esekiti. It's for people that come from Nottingham. God never said that. He just said, as long as the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest would not cease. So anybody that's able to plug into that, they will see harvest. They will see the harvest. Beloved.
So that's so powerful.
And we trust God will help us. Everybody that is watching us, God bless you this year. Remember, you must do something strong. And let me just quickly throw this in there to you. What God told us this year, the word faith, we are using this as an acronym, FAITH. The F there, that we should fix our eyes on Him. A there, I write acronyms a lot from different things out of inspiration, but this one is just so different. F, fix your eyes on me, is what God said. The A there, just action your belief. Action it. Action your belief. A there. The I there, you know what it is? It says increase your work rate. That I was like, wow. So it's not just going to be a year of easy ride. It says increase your work rate. C, turn from every distraction. H, hold on to the like never before. That's the acronym. Fix your eyes on me. Action your belief. Increase your work rate. Turn from your distractions and hold on to the word like never before.
Wow.
There's none of those words that is cheap or easy. It's work. It takes work to focus and fix your eyes on Him. Action your work. Your turn from distraction is a lot of work. To hold on to the word, no compromise, is a lot of work. That's what it's giving us. Our journey of faith.
Powerful. Thank you very much, PC.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
As always, you never have enough time. But yes. They ended with the faith acronym you ended with is just so powerful. Even for me, I saw it on your status, I saw it on your DP, and I just thought it's so powerful. Because action, increasing work rate. These are not things that you really hear from church. What you hear is, keep believing, keep praying, keep fasting. These are things we hear. So it's great. It's refreshing for me personally to hear things like action, things like increase your work rate. One thing I'd just like to add to that, the word I heard recently, hard work. So people talk about hard work, but there's something called hard work, and it's stronger, more powerful than hard work. So some people work hard. If you work with your heart, that is to develop a passion. So love this do it from the heart. There's always a difference, in your outcomes, in your results. So that's amazing. Thank you very much, PCA, for your time as always.
Thank you.
Like you said, there's so much that we haven't touched. So I'm happy to take this on again next week Tuesday for us to
we'll
try and
questions to throw our way. We're going to be bringing insight, different perspective next week when we gather. Different perspective, and we trust that we're going to have a great time when we gather. So look out and watch this space. The Daniel generations are here.
Absolutely, sir.
We are taking over.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to be with you. Regards to you and yourself.
Same here. Sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So there we go, friends. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to another episode next week. And we trust that we'll take the conversation, we'll take it higher, and we start to look into deep things as we're trusting God that the best version of you is going to emerge this year. The best version of who you are is what is going to emerge this year. And Seasons is going to be here to journey with you in the journey of this great year 2021. Believing God that by this time next year, we will see you evolve, emerge in dimensions as such as we've never known. So take good care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of your health and your family. God bless you, bless you, bless you. Till we come your way next week. Remember, there's a season and there's a reason for every season. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much, everybody that is there. Brother Peter, Pastor Abby, God bless you, my wonderful wife. Thank you, everybody, my Seasons team, and every other person that's been here. God bless you. I see you all. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Have a good evening. So Abby, God bless you, my wonderful wife. Thank you, everybody, my Seasons team, and every other person that's been here. God bless you. I see you all. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Have a good evening.